The Blitz by Juliet Gardiner. Read by Catherine Harvey. Preface. These are the facts. Observe them how you will. Forget for a moment the medals and the glory, the clean shape of the bomb designed to kill, and the proud headlines of the paper's story. Remember the walls of brick that 40 years had nursed to make a neat though shabby home. The impertinence of death ignoring tears that smashed the house and left untouched the dome. Bodies in death are not magnificent or stately. Bones are not elegant that blast has shattered. This sorry, stained and crumpled rag was lately a man, whose like was made of little things that mattered. Now he is just a nuisance, liable to stink, a breeding ground for flies, a test tube for disease. Bury him quickly, and never pause to think what is the future like to men like these. People are more than places, more than pride. 1 million photographs record the works of Wren. A city remains a city on credit from the tide that flows among its rocks, a sea of men. Ruthven Todd, these are the facts. Blitz is an abbreviation of the German word Blitzkrieg, meaning lightning war. It all too accurately describes Hitler's advance through Western Europe in May and June 1940, as Norway, then Holland, Belgium and France fell to the German forces within weeks. But it hardly seems appropriate for the almost continual aerial bombardment of the British Isles that started on the 7th of September 1940 and continued with little relief until the 10th of May 1941. Yet Blitz is the name by which these 8 months were known. It was a German word, and like lightning it came from the sky and could and did kill. Indeed, an air raid was, in many ways, like a terrible storm, the sky livid, rent by jagged flashes, obscured by black clouds rolling across it, or lit up by the reflected glow of fires, while the noise of bombs and guns echoed like the thunder of Mars, the god of war. The Blitz was the test of war for the British people. It touched everyone's lives. It mobilised the population, and in phrases that have become time-worn but are nevertheless true, put civilians on the front line and made the home front the battlefront. Dunkirk and the Battle of Britain which preceded it had essentially been military operations. The Blitz was total war. Its intensity and inescapability made it possible to call the Second World War the People's War, in which, in the words of the poet Robert Graves, a soldier cannot even feel that his rendezvous with death is more certain than that of his Aunt Fanny, the fire-watcher. The Blitz was the war that everyone in Britain had been expecting and fearing since that warm Sunday morning in September 1939 when Neville Chamberlain had announced that Britain is now at war with Germany. Although there had been sporadic raids throughout the phony war that followed, it was not until almost exactly a year after the declaration that the Luftwaffe bombers arrived in force over London. Although England's capital was bombed more heavily and more continuously than anywhere else in the country, the Blitz was an attack on the whole United Kingdom. Few places escaped its direct effects, none its indirect ones. In January 1941, George Orwell wrote to the editors of the American journal The Partisan Review, to which he would contribute a London letter throughout the rest of the war. On that day in September, when the Germans broke through and set the docks on fire, I think few people can have watched those enormous fires without feeling that this was the end of an epoch. One seemed to feel that the immense changes through which our society has got to pass were going to happen there and then. But he went on to say that these feelings had been erroneous. To an astonishing extent, things have slipped back to normal. When all is said and done, one's main impression
Sample complete. Ready to continue?